Hey there folks, and welcome to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today it's Super Bowl Sunday, go Patriots, don't judge me, but it is also a new film review from yours truly on a film that is the final film in its series, concluding the story and the character arcs and everything. Not only am I devastated that it's the last film, I can't wait to talk to you guys about it and let you know what I thought of this film. So to get on with this intro, today's film review is on How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. So before I start this review, I am going to issue an official spoiler alert to you all. If you don't want to hear too much about the plot related things that I'm going to be talking about, I will put a time here that you can skip to get the final overview thoughts and then also my scoring out of 10. But for those of you who do want to hear, the spoilers begin now. So The Hidden World starts 1 year after the events of the second film, and we are still seeing the issues that were left over from Drago Bloodfist, in that not only is there people still trying to build a dragon army, but there are also the rescues from the people of Berk trying to stop these guys from creating a dragon army and rescuing the dragons and bring them back to Berk. But there is now an overpopulation issue in Berk, which is brought up quite frequently, with the fact that it is much too overcrowded and not really a good place to be living at this point because there is no space whatsoever. It is here that we are also then introduced to the idea of Hiccup and Astrid getting married, which kind of is like, it's an underplot that's going on. It's kind of propping up here and there, but it's, you know, it's my official OTP, but it doesn't seem to be occurring at this point. So it's kind of, it's an awkward conversation that it occurs. That's all I can say. After this point, we then see kind of the introduction of the villain. Now, I'm gonna have to check his name because it's quite an interesting name. So his name is Grimmel the Grizzly. Now he is well known by Eret, who is obviously in the group at Berk now. Eret, son of Eret. He knows Grimmel through the fact that he was one of the greatest hunters, dragon hunters of all time, and he loves the hunt, which we do see when we are then introduced to Grimmel, who prides himself on having killed all of the Night Furies, except for obviously Toothless, which irks him to no tomorrow. He wants to get rid of all the Night Furies, so he sets his sights on Toothless. It is here that we are introduced to the Light Fury, which the Dragon Army people, I don't think we ever get their names actually, have in captivity. And so Grimmel begins to use the Light Fury to trap Toothless, because as we find out through Grimmel, Furies mate for life. And this is where a whole new area of problems come in. But at this point, Hiccup has realised that they are no longer safe in Berk because of Grimmel and what he can do. So realising this, Hiccup has a memory of something his father told him about the hidden world, which is at the very edge of the world. In a waterfall, there is the land of the dragons. Now, there are some maps that Stoic came up with to find this hidden world. So Hiccup decides to take Berk and to try and find this hidden world to protect them and to protect their dragons. But so this is the bit that I really love. So this was really interesting to me. So with the hidden world part, I like that this was kind of being introduced. It's definitely something the film does do a lot, where it introduces plot related things just to kind of suit the film. Like obviously we've never heard about the hidden world except for this film. Which isn't always great, where but you know, it kind of works. But what was really interesting about this was that the finding of the hidden world, not specifically because they were going to look for the hidden world, but the fact that they were fleeing Berk, was predicted by Grimmel. He knew they would leave Berk to protect themselves and their dragons, and he knew where they would be heading because the places that they could head were blocked off by other kind of villains or dangerous waters or anything like that. So he knows exactly where they're heading, and he planned how to beat them and how to find them. So he starts to track them, completely unknown to Hiccup and the people of Berk. Now this is just going to the characters in general, so we start to see a bit more of Astrid in this film actually, and I kind of really quite like this because kind of the whole film is all about love and loss, which is really quite interesting. So we actually see a lot more of Astrid in the film, in her relationship with Hiccup and how she kind of grounds him and how she supports him, and vice versa. And we see that she realises that Hiccup still has so little confidence in himself. He believes that he can only be a great leader or a great person or anything like that with Toothless. He can't be that person without Toothless. And Astrid strives to kind of prove to him that Toothless didn't make you who you are. You were already like this. Toothless just made it easier. And that I kind of really like, that not only is she helping to support him and kind of show her faith in him as a person, not his faith in him as a dragon rider. And first of all, OTP goals, 100%. But it just kind of, I really liked how their relationship has continued to grow and kind of works together. They're kind of like each other's yin and yang in a way. But moving on to Toothless and the Light Fury, because this comes up quite a lot in the film. So we see that the Light Fury is very, very skittish of humans in general. So whenever Astrid and Hiccup have been nearby, or just Hiccup, she runs away completely, to the point that when she doesn't return, Toothless becomes upset and distracted, and he's kind of not really with it. And it's at this moment that Hiccup starts to realise that Toothless kind of doesn't really need him that much anymore, which is where the continued self-doubt comes in. And it kind of worries Hiccup a little bit, but also kind of makes him sad because he's worried about losing his best friend, which, oh my god, I was already starting to tear up at that point. But the story kind of carries on. It gets... So, okay, this is going to be my one negative of this film. There is far too much comedy for my liking. So I like when they have the comedic moments, but I feel like they were just kind of a bit too much of it. So this is called the bathos sort of effect, I guess, where lots of comedy undermines the dramatic moment. Where in this, there's so much comedy that even some of the dramatic moments and the kind of sad moments didn't have as much of an emotional impact that I think the writers were probably aiming for. Like, I could have cried at many different points during this film, but comedy was either straight before it or straight after it. So it kind of didn't have that much of the impact that I kind of wanted it to have. Like, it's going to sound weird, I kind of wanted to cry. I wanted to have this emotional feeling with what was going on in the film. So that's kind of my one negative, that was just a bit too much comedy for my liking. But all the other things that were going on with it, like Grimmel still being able to catch them, he's kind of like the prime hunter. And okay, he's not the best villain in the world, but I quite like him because his only purpose is to kill dragons. And I think that's very interesting and different to what we're used to with the previous villains of How to Train Your Dragon. So obviously Drogo Bloodfist was to create a dragon army and to have the ultimate power and control over the dragons. Now we see Grimmel does have control over some dragons, but in a different way. Like, he doesn't control them like with an alpha or anything. He poisons them a little bit to kind of get power over them. But other than the dragons that he needs for his own transportation to try and capture other dragons, he will kill them as much as what we see him kill a dragon. Like, we don't see the dragon die, but we know the dragon is dying. And I assume they probably didn't have it die on screen because there are a lot of children in the film. But I quite liked this film because their only purpose really was to kill, which kind of is more terrifying really, whereas Drogo I felt had a bit more of a purpose in his actions than Grimmel did. Right, okay, on to the next part. So Grimmel does eventually actually capture both Toothless, the Light Fury, and then all the dragons, because obviously they follow the alpha. But what's interesting about this is the moment where we see Astrid really kind of step up and prove to Hiccup that he doesn't need a dragon to be great. And they do this whole rescue mission and everything. And then we have the whole hidden world bit. So the hidden world actually appears kind of randomly, actually, which is interesting. So this actually happens before the whole grammar. I'm not really telling you guys the plot thing in order, mainly because I'm remembering certain bits out of order in general. But the hidden world is actually found quite randomly. So they, like, Hiccup disappears with his girlfriend. No, not Hiccup. Toothless disappears with his girlfriend, and Hiccup goes to find him with Astrid. Because again, at this point, he still believes that he needs Toothless to be great. And they kind of stumble across the hidden world by accident with Starfly, because Hiccup and the Toothless and the Light Fury, oh my god, I keep getting their names wrong, I don't even know why, are in the hidden world. But it doesn't kind of actually go to plan, and Hiccup feels guilty and horrible because he has caused strife in the hidden world in general, because the dragons there don't want people in the hidden world, justifiably. But that also, Toothless had to rescue him and leave his girlfriend behind to rescue Hiccup and get them back to the New Burke. And yeah, it's really quite interesting. So that kind of part was a heartstring related moment, because Hiccup feels guilty for what he's doing to Toothless, because he starts to realise that he never really asked Toothless what he wanted or what the dragons wanted. He just assumed that they would be happy staying with them and finding it's interesting in general. I don't want to kind of go too much into it, but I know that I am. But I'm going to go on to kind of the final part. So this is the part that actually made the majority of the cinema, where the few adults were in the cinema, made all of us cry. I think the kids probably would have, but I don't think they really understood much of it. Mainly because they were like tiny children. And this was the goodbye scene. So after all the dragons have been rescued from Grimmel and the dragon army wanted people, they go back to New Burke, and this is where Hiccup realises that Toothless and all the other dragons aren't safe in the world because of humans, and that humans in a way don't deserve the dragons yet because humans aren't ready for them. They aren't ready for what Burke was like, which was the dragon utopia. They weren't ready to accept this change. But the hidden world will keep them safe. They won't be hunted there. They won't be killed there. They'll live in harmony and in safety. And so all of the Burkians say goodbye to their dragons. But the one between Hiccup and Toothless was kind of one of the saddest ones, because Hiccup does it first, and that kind of, I feel like, showed his character growth from it. So we see him at the start kind of relying completely on Toothless, and their relationship being relying on one another. And at this point, it's both of them kind of letting each other go and move on and be happy. And it's a really quite emotional moment, and I very much cried at that scene, because it's okay. So this is the thing that I want to talk about. So you know the whole in the first film where Hiccup sticks out his hand and Toothless moves in to do that, they have an opposite reversal of that scene. So Hiccup leaves his hand on Toothless' muzzle, I guess would say, turns away and kind of slowly pulls his hand away. So kind of like the reverse of it, to say goodbye. And oh my god, just that scene alone just made me blubber a little bit more. But we then skip to Hiccup and Astrid getting married, skip many years in the future where they now have children, and he's gone in search for Toothless because he misses him. And we see them all reunite, Toothless and the Light Fury with their children, Hiccup and Astrid with their children, and they talk about how humans still aren't ready for dragons, but the dragons will know the moment that the humans are ready and will come back into the world, which kind of leaves this idea that in our world, there are dragons. They're still hidden at this point because we aren't ready for them. We aren't worthy of them at this point. And I really quite like that idea. Now, to the people coming back in this to this review, to summarise, this was a perfect ending for the How to Train Your Dragon series. Was there a bit too much comedy for my liking? Yeah, there definitely was. The villain, pretty cool, but not the greatest villain, but still just as terrifying as any other villain. But in general, the relationship between Toothless and Hiccup, best part of the film, and just a perfect ending. So I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. It could be higher, but I think if they'd improved on some of the areas that I wasn't the biggest fan of, I probably would have given it a higher score. But yeah, that is the conclusion to my review. What do you guys think? Do you agree with what my views of How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, or do you think it deserved a higher rating, a lower rating? Let me know in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you go to the description box down below, you'll find the link to the How to Train Your Dragon trailer, as well as the links to my Instagram and Patreon, where on Patreon you can get early access to any and all of my videos, as well as have a say as to what comes out in future. On YouTube, however, if you're not already subscribed, go to the button down below or click the one popping up here on screen. If you want to check out any of my previous film reviews, you can go to the playlist right here. And then for anything else, there's a suggestion popping up here. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.